Yeah, so since we last talked last week, I think the intel I've been getting on Kenyon Sadiq is he is not going to be there at 16.
That's why I asked.
I think he's. I mean, Kansas City, I think, has the 9th pick or
Yes.
right around there. So
They're 9.
I think the window opens for him right there. So like between 9 and I'd be very surprised if he got down to the Jets at 16.
Really?
Now, you bring up a very, very interesting point about could they trade up to get one of those receivers? I have heard a little buzz, around the league that if there's a receiver who's kind of hovering, one of those big 3 receivers, then I think it's feasible that the Jets could make a move up to grab one of those guys.
Yeah, we got a little Cimini buzz here, Jake. Let's go.
All right, so here's the trade that I've been talking about on my own YouTube channel. I look at the Washington Commanders at 7. They do not have a 2nd-round pick. They don't have a 4th-round pick. If you take 16 and 44, the Jets' 16th overall pick, and the Cowboys' 2nd-rounder they got in the Quinnen deal, which is 44, on the point value chart, that gets you into that 7 or 8 range. If the Jets offered that to Washington, I don't know what their plans are, who they're eyeing at 7, but I wonder if the Jets, let's say they love Carnell Tate and he's there, or McKillum and whoever, Jordan Tyson, whoever their guy is, that feels like a trade that could actually happen based on that little nugget that you just dropped, Rich.
Yeah, I mean you got to love the guy, obviously, to give up a 2nd-round pick and then your own pick to move up. But if they love I think Tate is probably. This is just an educated guess, probably the top guy on the Jet board in terms of wide receivers. Jordan Tyson has that big private workout coming up in about a week where it's going to be like he's going to do some positional drills. He's a really, really talented player and a baller too. He's got a good attitude. It's just the freaking injuries. The guy's always hurt. Yeah. So that's an interesting one. McKillum did come in for a 30 visit with the Jets. And I think they wanted to check him out a little bit. There was some rumors at the combine that he didn't interview well. So, but yeah, Jake, I mean, I sure, why not? I could see something like that happening.
I don't think I'd do it. And it's a really interesting thought, Jake. I'm not trying to shoot it down. I love the creativity. But to me, I would be more inclined, rather than going 16 and 44 and scooting up to 7, I would almost rather take 16 and 44 and maybe slide backwards and accrue some more capital and, take some more swings that way rather than putting all my eggs in one basket for a receiver with a torn ACL, a torn PCL, a torn MCL, a hamstring issue last year, immensely gifted. And Rich is right. He is a baller. There's no concerns. He is all about football. He knows the grease board, but he's been banged up a lot. And if it's not him, the other guys, I wouldn't do it, but it's something fun to talk about.
I think I'd only do it for Tate because I just think he's the perfect complement size-wise, how he plays to what they have in Garrett Wilson. I love McKillum. He's my personal favorite receiver, but he might just be a slot guy, and I don't know if you're trading up for that type of player. The one thing I'll add, though, BT, because I like you. I like Darren Muji. I don't know if I'm as high on him as you seem to be, but I do think he's smart. Baby.
I'm edible high at this point on Darren Muji. I got 5 edibles on Muji. I'm high on Muji, baby.
I hope you're right, because God, do we deserve it as Jet fans? But the thing I would say is, well, what if they traded up? And I think I maybe mentioned this to you guys last week. Pick 33 is one of the most traded picks in the draft. 2 of the last 3 years, we've seen that pick be traded to a different team. If they traded up with 16 and 44, what if Muji trades out of 33? They don't have a 3rd-round pick. All of a sudden, you get something. You could kind of recoup what you just gave up to facilitate that trade up. So I think when the Jets have this many picks and you have a smart GM who's made all these trades, you could kind of think bold and be creative with the different ways you want to attack this draft next week.
Plausible. That's a good retort. It's a good volley back but isn't that what makes this so interesting? Like, all right, again, until he finds his quarterback, he's never going to get a grade A, talking about Muji, but he's shown an early acumen, an early zest for big deals, even within the margins, which we've talked about a million times sideways. So we don't have to get in chapter and verse on that now. But all the little checkpoints that you, up until you get the quarterback, of evaluation for Muji are very promising. The Jets are fiscally healthy right now in terms of cap space, effective cap space, draft capital. I mean, a young GM who looks the part early on. Like, honestly, and I'm not a Jets homer. Like, anybody new to this show, Jake, you are, wildly passionate like me. Maybe some people say you slant a little more negatively than me, and that's not a bad thing. That's just some people's take. But I just destroy the Jets like anybody when they deserve it, which is a lot. But I do feel optimism, and I do feel hope about the direction of this regime. It's not manufactured, contrived enthusiasm. I'm genuinely feeling pretty good about the Jets right now, as crazy as that sounds.
It's a weird feeling I have, Rich, because I feel really good about the general manager. I have very little faith in the head coach after what we watched in his first year. So I wonder how it ultimately plays out, because I do like a lot of what Muji has done, but then like the thing hovering over the franchise is the fact that the head coach is ultimately the biggest key to success. Head coach and quarterback is what ultimately wins in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think, spending time with Aaron Glenn at the owners' meetings, I think we talked about last time.
Were you in a hot tub with Aaron Glenn?
I was not in a hot tub. You saw me. I was sitting right next to him at the breakfast meeting. I think he was humbled a little bit by last year, and I think he recognizes his mistakes, and I think he's trying hard to fix them. I mean, he wiped out most of his coaching staff, which is basically admitting that he hired a poor staff the first time around. I like the Frank Reich hire. I like the fact that Glenn is going to run the defense himself. And so I think he's taking steps to try to improve it. He said he's spending a lot of time working on clock management, game management issues. In the end, to use one of Rex Ryan's favorite sayings, the proof will be in the pudding. So we'll find out on week 1, week 2, and whether this all is just talk or BS or it's real if he's a better coach.
What does it look like when he's working on clock scenario? Like, is he just playing Madden with like his kids or whatnot? Like, how do you work on like clock management scenarios in the offseason?
I was kind of thinking the same thing.
They have the guy, John Berger, who's their clock manager and expert. He was with the Giants for a long time. And I'm sure they're going over scenarios. They study tape from around the league, different teams, how they handle certain situations. And he's probably not doing that right now because it's such a draft focus. But once they get through the OTAs and the mini camp, I know last year he spent a lot of time in the month of June and July on his own. Aaron Glenn even actually goes around and visits coaches during the downtime. He goes to see Al Groh up in the Boston area. It's one of his mentors. Every summer he takes a special trip to go visit Al. They sit down, they get on the whiteboard, they go through stuff, they go through clock management, all sorts of X's and O's, and he does that with other coaches as well. So he's putting the effort in. Now you just have to see the results.
He's got to find his version of what? Dick Curl, right? That's what he's got to do. Remember that? Herm's old guy, Dick
I'm impressed that you remember Dick Curl. We called him Grandfather Clock. So
how could you forget the name Dick Curl, Rich? I mean, come on.
This is true. This is true.
Right in the jokes itself. I got to push back a little bit, Rich. I don't need to belabor this, but you say that you think that Glenn's been humbled, and you might be right. And I do believe that he's a leader of men. But that superpowers comment about Colvin, that doesn't sound like a guy who's been humbled to me.
He believes it. So what? We'll find out. He does make some comments that sometimes you roll your eyes. I mean, the promised land quote about Geno, we talked about it in depth last week. That was probably not the best choice of words. And so, it's easy to say stuff now and not say stuff and say you're going to do this and that. It's pretty stress-free right now. When things heat up and the bullets start flying in September, that's where the cream rises, and then we'll find out if he's the real deal.
A listener of ours made the Geno Smith Promised Land graphic for us. If we launch a merch line, there you go. Our first ever Promised Land tee coming to the Jets Collective.
If he's holding tablets, good enough for me. I'm sold.
Send in any super chats you have, some questions, comments, like the big fella who writes in Sonny Styles at 2, speak it into existence. We'll get to all those coming up. We hit on Sonny Styles earlier, but we are presented by Prize Picks. Here's what you need to do to support our show and to support our presenting sponsor.